That is 3 of the people that were impacted by Camp 75 last year. That was Mick, who has built about half of our building, all of our children's environments. He's incredibly talented. He's a volunteer, and he's in awe of what you guys do. He actually built that cross that we used last night in last night's message. He's amazing. Sarah, who leads all of our kids' environments, Wombaland and Upstreet, and she personally knows the kids and parents by name that you guys will be loving and leading and serving this summer. And then Eric, who I don't think it would be exaggerating. I think he would say, like, Camp 75 changed my life. And he was a driver last year. And being around you guys and the way that you guys treated him, he has gone all in. He has served in every single environment we have, and now he's here for us the whole week as a small group leader with Bootcamp. That is 3 people of 2,600 people that were impacted and served during Camp 75 last year. So I hope over the next couple of minutes in this session to give you guys a scope of just how big the impact is that you are already making, just how big this thing is that you guys are going to be a part of, and where it is that we're actually headed together. To do that, I want to start with a little bit of a visual that may be helpful for some of you. For some of you, maybe this is like no big deal, and then you can tune back in 2 minutes from now. But for some of you, I think this is going to be helpful to picture it this way. I want you to think about, I have a couple of ropes here on stage. I want you to think about this first rope as essentially time, okay? This is forever. Okay, and this little white notch right here is your life. If what we talked about on Tuesday and Wednesday and what we're going to talk about tonight and tomorrow, if what we talked about is for real, okay, then we have eternity ahead of us. If what we talked about is for real, we're not home yet. And at some point in time, we will be. And I wonder, are we using our little blip of time in a way that we will be proud of for eternity to come? I'm not talking about getting into heaven someday. We talked about that. That's based on what Jesus has done, not based on what we've done. But I'm talking about we're reflecting back on our life, and we get to see our whole life in a window and all of the moments that really mattered. And are we preparing today as if that's where we're going someday? Are we preparing to be a part of something bigger than us? See, this little notch, if I were to take this and then kind of expand it, this little white rope here will be your life. And so this beginning here is where you were born, which I thought was interesting, the way he talked about in the video. You know, you cried and people rejoiced, and this was your first day. And maybe somewhere over here, you know, you'll graduate middle school and then maybe high school and maybe college. And I don't know, somewhere down the road, if you get married or choose to have kids and what you choose to do with your career. And then if you want to retire or don't want to retire or travel the world or something like that. And then if you're really lucky, you get to live 70, 80, 90 years. And then there's going to be a moment for all of us where we've run out of rope, at least on this white rope, maybe not on the other one if that's for real. And I just wonder, are we planning the moments of our life in a way that we will look back and we will be like, I'm so grateful that that's what I chose to invest my time in? Because the reality for all of us is that all of us are making notches in our story every day. The chapters of our life, the things that people are going to say about us looking back, we are writing every day. And every day that goes by, we have one less day to write the story that we want to write. And so the question I want to ask you guys is, are you connected to a bigger story? Is your story a part of a bigger story than you, or have you lost perspective and we let today's problems just consume us, and it's hard for us to really focus on the big picture and what is most important in life? And in this session, what I want to do is I want to talk about why we do Camp 75, because I think, in my opinion, and certainly I'm biased, but I think that this is perhaps the greatest opportunity available to us right now to be a part of something bigger than us. This thing is big. I want to show you guys even some of the progression. When we call Camp 75 a movement, it really is moving. This was Bootcamp 2012. This was my senior year at Bootcamp. There were about 45 of us in the room. This was all of Bootcamp. That's not a small group. That's not some Colorama. That is all of Bootcamp right there. The next year, this was my first year interning, we had like 50 people or 55 people or something like that at Bootcamp 2013. We were at this place called Eagles Wings for a couple more years, so this is 2014 and then 2015. These last 2 years were when I got the privilege of being the director. And then we moved to Lakeview in 2016. So this was Bootcamp 2016. Lots of you in the room were here for this at that time as well. Bootcamp 2017, we went to Latham. We had over 300 people here in 2017. And then last year was our first year at Riverbend. And this was Bootcamp last year. This was 2018. And then I haven't seen it yet, but I think we actually have this year's picture, Bootcamp 2019. This is... This is our largest boot camp ever this year by quite a bit, another 40 or 50 people more than last year. It's extraordinary to see. And this thing that you guys are a part of, it's bigger than any single one of us. We're in this together. We're one big family moving in a direction together. And I want to talk to you about why we're here this week and why we're going to do what we're going to do in Camp 75 and beyond. I want to talk about Camp 75 in this session, but before I do, I just have to talk about why we do anything here at Northpoint. Specifically, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about our mission and our vision. And I would imagine there's a couple of groups of people here in the room. I would imagine some of you could recite our mission and vision back to me. You've heard it so many times, you already know it, and you could say it. And if that's you, my challenge to you is I want you to listen to the next couple of minutes through the lens of becoming a vision owner. Meaning you feel personal ownership over our mission and vision, over making it a reality, that you would communicate this to other people, not just that you could like say it back, but you know the why behind it. Because if the only people that communicate our mission and vision are people on stage or our Buck, our lead pastor, or me or our leadership team here or whatever it is, we're not going to go very far. We're not going to do very much. We're not going to accomplish very much. These statements like changing the world, that's never going to happen if it's just those couple of people. But if it's 440 that are owners of our mission and vision, that are communicating it to people who aren't here in the room, think about how valuable it is now, what you know, that you have been in a boot camp and you understand why we do what we do. You communicate to the people who aren't here with us yet. You guys have so much influence and potential. That's how we start to change the world, when you own and understand our mission and vision. Then I think there's a group of you that you've heard it before. It's a little confusing and you swap them and all that kind of stuff. And I would just say for you, maybe a next step is literally to memorize them, just to know them. You guys are the leaders of Camp 75. And if you don't know why we do what we do, nobody will know why we do what we do. And then there's a large group of you in here that this is the first time that you've ever heard this, and I'm really excited to get to introduce you to it. To clarify, I want to talk about what a mission statement is. This is not just a church term. A lot of businesses and organizations have mission statements, vision statements, and I want to tell you what that is to not just assume you know what I'm talking about when I say our mission statement. A mission statement is this. It's a written declaration of an organization's core purpose and focus that normally remains unchanged over time. So this is the thing. This is who we are. This will always be our why. Our environments might change, our activities might change, our events might change, but we would never change any of those unless it's motivated by our why, because our why, our mission will never change. This is who we are at our core. And our mission is to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. This is why we exist, and every word is intentional. It's to lead people, not to control people, not to manipulate people, not to force people, to lead them, to show them what it looks like, to show them the next steps if they want to take them, into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ, which means we believe whether you don't think God exists or you've been a Christian for 75 years, we believe there is an opportunity for you to take another step in your relationship with Jesus, that you have never arrived, that you have never figured it all out. And so it's a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. And we just believe that everybody's life would be better with Jesus in it. I don't mean that you'll always be happy and healthy and richer. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying even when life gets really hard, it's just better to have him with you than to not. I want everybody to know that what we talked about last night, that there's a God who is for every single one of us. If it weren't for him, this would be a huge waste of time and energy and effort. We want to point everybody to Jesus. That's our mission. That's why we exist. And any movement towards or next step is a win. Any movement in the direction of our mission is a win. So, you go to a game, you go to a basketball game or a football game, there's a tangible score. It's very easy to know who is winning and who is losing. We want to know really clearly, are we winning or not? And so any win for us is when somebody takes a next step. That could be a really simple next step. A next step could be like asking a question. It could be saying your name to somebody and meeting somebody. It could be sharing a part of your story that you've never shared before. These very simple next steps sometimes. Sometimes they're a little bigger. For example, some of the big ones that we talk about are serving, that maybe you would want to say, what I experienced here at Bootcamp, I don't want that to stay in 1 week. I want to serve. I want to get involved. I want to be empowered to lead this thing beyond this week. So maybe you serve as a small group leader in Wambaland or Upstreet, our kids' environments, or in transit. If you're a high school leader and you want to serve in a middle school environment and lead a transit small group. If you are a high schooler, there's roles to lead within Inside Out. You can be on the guest services team because you know how important somebody's first time experience is, and you know that's something that we can never get back. And so their first moments walking in the door, for us to communicate to them how valuable they are, to make that experience easy, to connect them to a person or to a relationship, that's huge. You could be a part of programming and deciding what it is that we do in Inside Out in that hour and a half, and all the creativity and all the fun and all those engaging elements. You could be in our production crew and all of the NASA stuff in the back and make all of the lights and video and all of that happen. You could be on our photography team and take pictures. You could be a part of making all of these videos that we've seen throughout the week and look at what does it look like for a whole storyboard process and how to edit and take videos and capture videos and all of that kind of stuff. You could be on those teams. There's so many ways based on your individual talents and desires and passions to be involved and say, hey, I want to take a next step and serve beyond this week. That would be a huge win for us. Another win that we talk about is when people get engaged in groups. To say, I'm going to be a part of my transit small group. I'm going to be a part of my Inside Out small group. Or if you're graduating, going to look and find a group when I go to college because I know that I'm better when I'm connected to somebody than when I'm on my own. And sometimes that sounds like the best thing in the world to hang out with your small group, and sometimes that sounds like it's going to be a discipline because you got a lot of homework, and you're like, if I go to this today, I'm going to be even more behind. Or I've got drama with somebody in my small group, and I don't know if I want to see them today or put in the energy to have a conversation with them today. And sometimes it's going to feel like a discipline. But somebody who commits to a small group, that is a next step. Baptism is a next step. We talked about that a little bit already this week, but baptism, we said that has nothing to do with getting into or going to heaven because it's not about what we do, it's about what Jesus has already done for us, but it's this incredibly symbolic step, this beautiful step. And the way we do it is we actually capture your story via video because we think your story has power and it has the ability to impact other people. Other people can connect with it. And so we capture your story, and then you're baptized, which is just an incredible thing to see at Northpoint. We celebrate it in a really big way. And if you're here and you're like, I've begun a relationship with Jesus, and I've never been baptized, that could be the most incredible next step for you. Maybe it's something even over the course of this week or the course of this summer to say, I knew about Jesus maybe I would have called myself a Christian, maybe I wouldn't, but I've begun this whole thing. I've jumped in, and I don't know what all that looks like, but I've begun a relationship with Jesus, and being baptized could be an incredible next step for you. Any movement towards or next step for us is a win because our mission is to lead people in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ. And then there's our vision, which I want to ask the same question of what is a vision statement. And to give a definition to that, the mission is the cause and the vision is the effect. So it's kind of like you're cold, you put on a jacket. You're hungry, so you eat some food. If you want to lead people into a growing relationship with Jesus Christ, here's what our vision is. That's kind of the point of that. A mission is something to be accomplished, whereas a vision is something to be pursued for that accomplishment. It is the dream. Here is our dream. Because we want to lead people in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ, our vision is to create churches that unchurched people love to attend. Why? Because people who were nothing like Jesus loved to be around Jesus. We want to be like him. We want to be the embodiment of him. We want to be the expression of him. And we believe that you should be able to be with us and a part of us and belong with us before you believe what we believe, if you ever believe what we believe. We want you to know that you matter because you have breath in your lungs. And so we are crazy intentional about everything we say, every environment we put together, to not to communicate to you that we assume anything about you, but to just let you know you belong here. And I hope that if you came in this week and you've not been a part of church, or you've walked out of church or been away, I hope you know, and I hope you felt that after 4 days with us, how much we love you and how much you belong here and how glad we are that you are here. Here's what we do as a result of our vision, is we don't assume that everyone believes what we believe. We never make that assumption. You probably see that anybody who's been up here and spoke on stage, we don't assume where you're at. We don't assume that just because you signed up for Bootcamp, you believe all of these things. We're trying to meet you where you are at and have these gentle and respectful conversations like we talked about. But we don't assume, we don't pressure, we don't force. We're just like, hey, we're glad that you're here. But here's what we do assume. We do assume that every Sunday or event is somebody's first time. We assume it's somebody's first time in transit, somebody's first time in Inside Out, somebody's first Sunday at Northpoint, somebody's first time at Bootcamp. And some people come in excited, but more often than not, people are coming in with anxiety or fear. What am I going to have to do? What am I going to have to say? How am I going to have to dress? Am I going to know anybody? Are my friends going to be there? Is it going to be weird? All of that kind of stuff. And so we want to meet people right where they're at and say, hey, we have thought about all of those things ahead of time, and you are welcome here. We're not going to do language that you don't understand without explaining that language with you, without walking you through the process and all of those kinds of things. So that's our mission and our vision. Our mission is to lead people in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ, and because that's our vision is to create churches that unchurched people love to attend. Now, how does Camp 75 fit into that? How Camp 75 fits into that is this. We live in the city of Austin, which I think we probably all take for granted how cool it is that we actually do. The city has been rated like 4 years in a row now the best place to live. Number one, the best place to live in the United States of America. It's one of the most influential cities in the world because of the music, because of education, because of sports, because of the food, because of all kinds of different things. And then you've got politics and government here too. It's one of the most influential cities in the world. And we just personally don't believe it's an accident that we're here. I don't believe it's an accident that you guys live where you live. I think God said, these are the people that I want in this incredibly influential city, which means we have an opportunity, and I would even say a responsibility to love and to influence the people of this city. But what we think as well, and what we assume and what we've heard from so many people and what research shows is that for too long, the church has been known for what is against. People who are not a part of church, they're like, yeah, I know their rules. I know the things you can't do. I know it's restrictive. I know it's not fun. I know all the things that the church is against. And we just think that's happened for way too long because we think this is crazy if the church is the expression of Jesus, because Jesus was known for what he was for. Jesus was known for who he was for, which is everybody. And that's what Jeremy talked about on night 2. See, we want to be known for what we are for. We want to be known for who we are for. We want that to be our vibe. We want that to be our energy. We want that to be our communication. When people say Northpoint, when people say Camp 75, we want them to be like, yeah, I know who they are for. And Camp 75 communicates in a practical, in a tangible, in a powerful, not just words way that we are for Austin. We showed up and served in, I think, 20 nonprofits last year, and that number is only going to increase this year. There were about 3,000 people that we engaged and served throughout Camp 75. That is extraordinary. And the whole time we have this messaging that the God of the universe loves you and is for you. He is not against you. It's one of the greatest joys of the world to get to advance this message and get to love people. Some of you know this if you've been a part of Northpoint for a while, but one of the practical next steps for us is we want to increase our leaders and our resources and our ability to be for Austin. And so part of that requires us getting out of our leased space where you guys were, where we had lunch in that first session at Northpoint this week. We need to get out of that into our own permanent space where we can have more leadership, where we can have our own counseling, where we can have our own resources to be more for our city than we've ever been before. And so 2 Camp 75s from now, you guys will be the one, along with a bunch of your friends who aren't here and in the room yet, to break in Camp 75 in our brand new home, in our brand new building. This is actually going to be right across from Rouse High School in Crystal Falls. And we have this year's Camp 75 in Northpoint. Then we have next year's Camp 75. We'll rally in the auditorium. And the one after that, you guys will get to decide what Camp 75 looks like in this building. And yes, juniors and seniors, you will be there too, because you will be our interns, you'll be our college crew, you'll be leading it because you do not have another option because we love you and we'll be back. So all of you will be here, plus a lot of people who aren't yet, to decide what our first Camp 75 looks like in this place. We can't wait. This is such a colossal step for us to be for our city. But it's for all these reasons that we always say Camp 75 is much more of a movement than a moment. It's a collection of powerful moments, but it is a movement, meaning this isn't a one-week event that we do once a year. It's not this like thing we put on and sponsor or something. It's a movement of people that want a city to know that we are for them and there's a God who is for them. And we want our city to know that their lives can be better because we're here to help and love and serve them. This is going somewhere. It's moving somewhere. I want everybody in the room to be back with us next year. Don't plan your summer vacations for when Bootcamp and Camp 75 is. Don't miss it for anything else. We need you to come back because you know the heart behind this now, and you know what we're trying to do and who we're trying to help and the difference that we're trying to make. This is part of what makes Camp 75 so unique, is it's not just come and consume and then go back to your normal life this weekend. We're trying to prepare for something bigger than us and keep this thing moving in its current direction. The problem, though, at least I see it as a problem. I think many of you see it as a problem. Maybe some of you don't, or you've never thought of this as a problem. But we live in one of the most unchurched cities in the world, because 8 out of 10 people in suburban Austin and 9 out of 10 in downtown Austin do not attend church. We think that's a problem, not because you have to check a box of attending church, but because we want people plugged in, knowing that the God of the universe is for them and that your life is better when you are connected with him and when you are connected with people that are for you and care about you. What if everybody in our city got to experience something like a boot camp for their age and context? And even if they walk away and they're like, I'm still not sure what I believe about all that, they at least know the messaging that we're here, we're for you, we love you, and there's a God that is as well. See, Camp 75 is our most effective tool to address this problem and to accomplish our mission and vision. So here's how I want to end this session. I want to end with 10 win statements. You don't have to memorize them. You don't have to write them all down. If you haven't gotten already, your captains are going to give you a handout that's a summary of this session. But I want to give you 10 wins so we can say, I know we're winning at Camp 75 when this happens. Okay, I'll go through them pretty quick and we'll wrap this session. It is a win when somebody places their trust in Jesus Christ. And I put this first on here on purpose. I just want you to know, there's no hidden agenda. We're not trying to be sneaky about it. This is the biggest win for us, and we go crazy and celebrate when that happens. We think that's the greatest decision that you can make in your life. So yes, of course, I want everybody here in the room to know and to have confidence that there is a God who is for you, that he sent his son for you, that his name is Jesus, and that he died for you and rose 3 days later to prove that he is who he claimed to be. And if you have made that decision at any point this week, or you make it over any point this summer, tell somebody. Please don't keep that to yourself. Tell your captain or your small group leader or somebody, because we want to celebrate that, because we get so crazy pumped about that. That is why we do what we do. When somebody goes from that place of I'm 100% confident, not because of what I've done, but because of what Jesus has done for me, we love to celebrate that. It is a win for us when somebody takes a next step. And I talked about what a lot of those are already. When somebody serves, when somebody gets in a group, when somebody gets baptized, when somebody shows up, you guys have all taken a next step just by being here. It is a win when you are unified as a team and celebrating each other's success. We have won 90% of the battle if we're just moving in the same direction. Jeremy's talked about a lot of this already, but it is a win when we are moving in the same direction together. When we're not jealous of one another, we don't have drama with one another, we're not like, man, they're so good at that, or that team's having so much fun, and why are we not? We're playing the comparison game. When we stay focused on our why, when we stay focused on the bigger picture, and we're moving in the same direction together, we are so much more effective together. It's a win when you are prepared. I heard a guy that I respect once a lot say it this way, and he said it to me about my message prep process, and to me it's just stuck. And what he talked about was, he said, people are giving you their most valuable resource in the world, which is their time. It's the only thing that they can't get more of. And so when people show up to one of your camps, or when parents trust you with their kids, they're giving you their most valuable resource in the world freely, their time. So let's be prepared to honor their time. It's not funny to show up to camp and be like, I haven't looked at this in 3 weeks. That's communicating their time is not valuable to me, and those people don't matter to me. So let's be prepared. We have 3 weeks to do it. That's a week longer break than last year. It'll feel like a long time from now when Camp 75 finally comes. Those 3 weeks will feel longer than you think. But let's be prepared. That's a win when we are ready to go and we are ready to love people well. It's a win when you are having fun and your positivity influences others. It is a win when we are having a blast, because we should be, because this is the greatest news in the world and we're with the most incredible people doing it. So we should have a blast, and our positivity should be rubbing off on it. Other people should feel it, even if they don't get it, even if they don't know why, even if they're not sure what we believe. Our positivity about what we get to be doing to advance the greatest news the world has ever known, there should be a joy and a radiation with that influences and that rubs off on others. People should see it and they're like, I don't know what's happening there. I don't totally get it, but I want to be a part of it. It is a win when you are partnering with parents. If a kid comes to one of our kids' environments, every single week of the year, we get like 45 hours or so with that kid in small groups throughout the year. Their parents get 3,000 hours a year with that kid. The greatest thing we can do if we're really serious about leading people in a growing relationship with Jesus Christ is to partner with their parents. So when you guys show up to a camp and there's parents around and you greet them and you introduce yourself and you talk about how glad you are that they're there and you invite them to Northpoint that Sunday, you invite them to Summerfest, when you make that connection, that moment, that is one of the greatest things you've done over the course of Camp 75 to love people well. It's a win whenever we're partnering with parents. It's a win when a new family comes to Summerfest. If our vision is to create churches that unchurched people love to attend, when a family shows up and sees, bounce houses and rock climbing walls and food trucks and all of these different things that they're not expecting when they're coming in picturing traditional church, that's an incredible moment that we get to create for that family, to love that family well. And you guys are the reasons that they show up. They show up because they got a personal invite. They show up because their kids idolize you guys, and it's the cutest thing in the world to watch all of these kids that were at camps all week, and then they go around and they see you guys and jump on you and hug you and are amazed that you're there and get so excited. It is such an incredible moment, and it's a huge win for us. It's a win when your parents sign up to host or drive. It is cool when they do this, okay? When your parents come to host or drive, to have your whole family be a part of this is one of the most special things in the world. Trust me, as somebody that wishes that my parents were involved and was so grateful when my mom started to get involved, and now she's a small group leader and it's the most amazing thing in the world, and whose dad still is not, I wish so badly that my whole family was a part of this. And so to invite your family to be a part, that's the coolest thing in the world, when they get to be a part of all this together and see all of the amazing things that you are doing. So seriously, talk to them about it. Invite them to be a part of this with you. It's a win when you take it personally and your influence is multiplied. It's a win when you're like, this is not my captain's job, this is not Jordan's job, this is not Jeremy's job, this is not the intern's job, this is my job. I am an owner of this, because this is the greatest thing in the world that I can be a part of in this little window, is loving people and introducing them to a God who loves them. That's my job, that's my role, that's my passion, that's my purpose, that's my responsibility. When you take it personally, every single interaction matters. You have no idea when you're going to walk up to a kid and you're going to lean down and you're going to say that kid's name, and really you just read his name tag, but he's blown away that you remembered his name from yesterday, and he's like, how'd you do that? And he loves you and he hangs with you throughout the course of the week, and you make that kid laugh one time because he was sitting over there on the outside of the group and he had no friends and he felt lonely. And because of you, he goes home to mom and dad and he says, hey, mom and dad, we need to go to Summerfest on Sunday. And then the whole family shows up and has an experience at Northpoint and gets into contact with other people, and that kid experiences Wombaland upstreet, and all of a sudden now the family has to go back because their son is begging them to come every single week. And now the family is sitting in the large group auditorium and they're hearing about how they should get connected and they should get involved and they should get in a group, and they sign up and they get involved in a community group. And next thing you know, they're hanging out with their neighbors the next Friday, and they're like, hey, you should come with us to Northpoint this Sunday. It's not like anything I ever thought or expected, and it's really had a positive impact on our family and our marriage, and you should come with us. And all of a sudden, there's a whole block, there's a whole neighborhood that is involved. You don't know who those kids' parents are, their influence, their reach. You have no idea how far-reaching your influence can go with every single interaction. You guys have so much ability to make a tremendous difference if you choose to. If you decide to say, I'm going to be an owner and I am going to take this personally. It's a win when someone feels loved, accepted, and valued. That's why we do this. We want the world to know, we want our city to know that there is a God who is for them. And when we do that, and all of the little interactions, when we go the extra mile, when we show love through our actions, as well as through the big actions, we make a tremendous difference. So, in conclusion, what is Camp 75? Camp 75 is how we show up and love our community in tangible and unexpected ways. It's not where we just talk about something. It's not where we just talk about being for Austin. It's where we really do it. And why Camp 75? Why is Camp 75 significant? I believe we all have people that we care about, who we love, who are not here in the room right now, who we would love to be with us. For me, I think about these guys. And I think about, there were 3 or 4 guys in our freshman small group, freshman year. Now there's 15 of them here at Bootcamp, right? And I just think about, like, what if we didn't do Bootcamp and Camp 75? Like, this maybe is who would be here with us. And I'm not okay with that, because I love every single guy in this picture, and they're incredible leaders, and they're going to go do incredible things, but they may not be here with us. And they may not know that there is a God who loves them and who is for them. And they may not be trying to make their little piece of this rope and slice into something bigger than themselves. And we could go home and we could do something easier, and we could just sleep on the couch and watch a lot of Netflix, or we could be a part of something bigger than us. And there's a lot of people who are not in this room right now who want to be in this room next year to hear this conversation again as we talk about what we're dreaming about and where we're going. Because Camp 75 communicates that we are for Austin. The last note on your paper that you would see on there, if you take a look at it, is it says, I am critical to us winning. My greatest fear is that as we continue to grow, that you look around this room and you think, man, they've got it, my captain's got it, we're fine, look at all the people to help. And I'm just telling you, we are worse without you. We are better with you. We have a greater chance of this city knowing how much God loves them if you take it personally and your influence is multiplied. This is my last session of Camp 75 of Boot Camp so far, and it's just the greatest joy of the world to get to be up here with you guys. I love you guys so much. So many of you have been saying hi. Please keep doing that. I love meeting all of you guys. I want to pray for us real quick, and then I will talk about a couple of free time announcements, so don't get up and leave right away. Heavenly Father, God, thank you that you allow us to get to be a part of this adventure, this journey. God, thank you that you look at us and you see all of our imperfections and all of our inadequacies. You see all of our shortcomings. You see all of our mistakes. You see all the things that we don't know yet. And you just let us go. And you let us love and lead people. And you let us be a part of this incredible mission that you've invited us all into. It's amazing. You could have done it any way you want, and yet you've chosen to use these incredible students. God, a bunch of disciples changed the world once, and they were the same age as the people here in this room. I know the incredible belief you have in them, and I can't wait to see how you're going to use each and every single person in here throughout the course of this summer, but not just this summer, but beyond that as well, as we love the city and communicate to the city that it is for Austin. God, these are huge dreams, though. It is not possible unless you show up and you lead us along the way and you keep showing us what the next step is. We love you and we need you desperately. It's in Jesus' name that we pray. Amen.